Today's video is brought to you by ablmerch.com. Grab beer 1776, hats, t-shirts, stickers, mugs, and more through the link in the description box below. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Joe Biden's latest quote-unquote gaffe, mistake, whatever you want to call it. And a quick side note, how many gaffes, mistakes, mishaps, or whatever must you make before we think that's just you and your personality and it's not a mistake or anything else? I don't know, but I digress. Now, he was speaking at the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa race, quote-unquote, massacre, and it wasn't a massacre. It was a race riot, mutual combat. There were more blacks killed than whites killed, but blacks and whites were killed. But that's a different story, and digress. He was speaking there talking about blacks not having access to, capital, not being able to do well in business. And he said a thing right here that really just illustrates, in my humble opinion, what kind of guy Joe Biden is and how the Democrats think about so-called people of color. Now, before I go any further, let's go ahead and roll the clip. In this clip, you'll see and hear what I was talking about. After we get done watching that, I'll talk about what he said there. Then I give you the rest of my 2 cents, my deep, detailed analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
The data shows young black entrepreneurs are just as capable of succeeding given the chance as white entrepreneurs are. But they don't have lawyers, they don't have accountants, but they have great ideas. Does anyone doubt this whole nation would be better off from the investments those people make? And I promise you, that's why I set up this National Small Business Administration that's much broader, because they're going to get those loans.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, there's a lot I want to get into. I guess the elephant in the room for me would be, how can you say that blacks don't have accountants or lawyers when blacks are accountants and lawyers? All right. I'm not really sure what era Joe Biden is stuck in. Maybe he's older than what we think. I think he's 77 or 78 years old right now. He might be 178 or 177 years old with that kind of mind state. Okay. We have a black Supreme Court justice, if you didn't know, by the name of Clarence Thomas. And before that, we had Thurgood Marshall. There's plenty of black lawyers and accountants in government right now on the Democratic side, especially where a lot of black folks are at. Some of Joe Biden's colleagues are black lawyers and accountants. There was one guy who was really, really popular, really famous, had a really big job, who was, what was he like, president of his Harvard law class or something like that. I'm not really sure all these little terms they have, but this guy and his wife were lawyers and are lawyers, I suppose. Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. Huh? Wasn't that your boss, Mr. Joe Biden, for 8 years? Oh, you don't have accountants and you don't have lawyers. What era are you stuck in, sir? What are you thinking about? Shout out to Coley Noir, a lawyer right here on the YouTubes. All right. Conservative guy, Second Amendment guy. He's not a lawyer. My uncle is an accountant. He's my accountant, matter of fact. This is not a thing that we have an issue with at all. Okay, you got plenty of online services that will hit you up talking about, hey, do you want a lawyer? Do you want representation? Do you want this? Do you want that? Okay, LegalZoom. Don't go to LegalZoom. It sucks. But anyway, you got places like InkFile. You can file your LLC right there on InkFile for a low amount of money. You don't even really need a lawyer for a lot of different things. You're talking about accountants. You got TurboTax, QuickBooks. You got apps. A lot of them are halfway free that'll do things for you. You don't even need a lot of times a lawyer or an accountant. But guys like Joe Biden that spend their life working for government and never doing anything else, they don't understand what it's like in the real world, what it's like dealing with small business and being a businessman. You see, Trump will never say anything like that because Trump understands the way that the private sector works because he comes from the private sector. Now, some are going to say, oh, yeah, so a spoon in his mouth, he got $1 million from his daddy or whatever. I'd rather you have a family business and work in that and make that more than what it was than taking money from the federal government your whole life and never doing anything else other than that. And then try to talk about what life is like for those that are engaging in small business. All right. And then this whole black versus white thing. I don't like this, well, whites are up here. This is the standard and blacks are down here. And we have to make blacks reach the white standard as if a black person can't succeed on their own, as if there are no unsuccessful whites, as if there are no poor whites. This is a silly thing. It shouldn't be about whites they're the best and the greatest. It's like you're putting whites on the pedestal and then putting blacks below them. That's racist. You're an American. This is land of opportunity still. People come from all over the world without a dollar in their pocket, a dime to their name. They come over here and they become somebody. They become something. They become wealthy. They become successful at whatever they're doing. Now, not everyone will become wealthy, successful, or whatever, but you can't do that in America. Your race is not even a factor, really. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Puerto Rican, candy stripe. It doesn't matter. What are you going to do for yourself? That should be what it's about. Ain't no entitlement just because you're a black person. Are you guaranteed an accountant or a lawyer? Same thing if you're white. Are you going to be born with an accountant and a lawyer? Okay, little baby Grayson, he's 2 months old, already has a lifelong accountant and a lawyer. That's not how that works at all. Everybody's got to work for something. Whether your parents work, whether you work, everybody's got to go out here and get it. You got to make it happen. There are no, or shouldn't be any kind of guarantees and entitlements, things of that nature. You're not entitled to an accountant and a lawyer for sure. But to think that you have to be white, if you're white, you have those things automatically, that's racist. And if you're black and you don't have it, that's racist as well. But hey, I was told that Trump was a big bad racist. He is the guy that hates black people. He hates poor people. Well, I mean, like I said, Trump would never say anything like that. I never heard Trump say anything like that. What did he say when he ran for office back in 2015, 2016? Hey, black folks, what do you have to lose? You got all these bad things going on in these Democrat-run areas. Why not try something else? What you got to lose? I mean, how much worse can it get? And under Trump, things definitely improved. And just a little bit of time under Biden, things have just fallen off. Okay, you got the virus going on. Okay, that's one thing. And if you have the vaccine, thank Trump for that. I'm not a vaccine guy, but that's a different story and digress. If you have the vaccine and you like it and you wanted it, thank Trump for that. But Biden comes in and it's like he dismantled a lot of the things that were working under Trump for no other reason than to say that he wants to do something else. And he wants to be woke and all this and that and the third. As I close, I want to say this. The lights are on in Joe Biden's head, but nobody's home. Nobody's there. He's going off the script and doing things and saying things he shouldn't say. This is why he did not even really campaign. They let him stay in the house for the whole time. What's the point of him going out there and campaigning, going off script, trying to, sniff a little kid or something like that? They don't want any kind of issues with that. But now that he's out there doing more speaking and things of that nature, he is making more and more, quote unquote, mistakes, which ain't nothing but Biden being Biden. He said it before. Hey, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Poor kids, just as smart as white kids. He said the same thing over and over again. And as I close, how many times are we going to hear this from this guy before we say that's just him being him and it's not a mistake? It's not misspeaking. That's just him. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What do you think about what Joe Biden said? Was it racist? Was it ignorant? Is he stuck in, I don't know, the 1850s or the 1750s? It's not uncommon for leftists to think this way. This is why they vote the way they vote. They think that black people and so-called people of color, non-whites, don't have anything. They just, it's like we're living in the caveman era. We're not in the same country as them. Because they're never around us. They don't really talk to us. They don't really understand. They're not open to anyone telling them something different. They think if you say something different, aside from what Joe Biden said, then you are a racist. It's ridiculous. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.